Eric here with Team Eccentric, and I wanted to bring you guys a little discussion video about the best side deck options for our current format. Obviously, our current format is still somewhat undefined. I feel like, however, we do have the best deck being Pendulum Magicians at the top of the totem pole, and somewhere at some point beneath that we have the True Draco, which is still doing rather well, but we have the Invoked. You know, I've seen many different iterations of that. I've also seen Trickstar's doing very, very well. Even Anti-Meta is doing really well, you know, with Inspector Border being released. We also have rogue strategies that are still topping and still, you know, winning events, or even at least topping events. We have ABC, we have Lightsworn, you know, Dinosaur. There's just so many decks running around right now that I feel like side decking can be kind of a hassle, but I feel like I'm going to try to simplify it. You know, try and give you guys kind of a cohesive explanation as to why I think certain cards are good for siding. Even so, if you guys, you know, disagree with me, this is all subjective. So if you guys disagree with me, that's completely okay. You know, everybody has their particular play style. Everybody plays a certain way. Everybody sides a certain way. You know, everybody, you know, siding is mostly based upon your locals. You know, whatever tournaments you attend, and if you're attending a more you know, a top tier event, you know, a more skilled event, then obviously you don't want to side for mostly meta, but even so, you know, I'm going to try my best to give you guys the most cohesive list that I can think of as to what cards are best to side. Ash Blossom is completely omitted from this list because I feel like anybody who's playing Ash Blossom is main decking it. Worst case scenario, they side it out for something else. So we're going to get into it, and one of my favorite side deck cards right now, personally, is actually Drone Lockbird. Drone Lockbird is great because it's perfect against your Pendulum Magician matchup, and it's good against a lot of different rogue decks. It's great because, yeah, your opponent gets that first add, they get that one search or one draw, but right after that, completely stunts the rest of their turn if their entire strategy is based on searching, which Pendulum Magician does a lot of adding cards from their deck to their hand. So Draw Unlock essentially can put them behind a turn, which can be very devastating in regards to their game state. Also, I feel like it's good against most rogue matchups because most rogue matchups try, you know, to search cards. So Draw Unlock, in my opinion, is really good. You know, I have some friends who disagree with me and they say that it's a -1, but I disagree. I feel that Draw Unlock, you know, particularly, especially against the Pendulum Magician matchup, can completely shut down their turn. Moving on, I feel like another good card for the Pendulum Magician matchup, but also it can be a blanket card for a lot of other different matchups, is Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, if you notice that your opponent plays the Heavy Metal Electrumite, you just Ghost Ogre it, and it clears out Electrumite, and yeah, they might resolve an effect, but at the same time, you don't allow them to get off the rest of its effects, and you're making sure that they don't have link zones open. You know, they don't have the link markers pointing down, which is great because the way that Pendulum Magician works, at least from what I can see right now, is they try and make Heavy Metaphors Electrumite to set up for advantage and send Pendulum monsters from their main deck to the extra deck while having Electrumite on board, so that they can special summon those monsters from the extra deck to those link zones, as well as just, you know, gain a bunch of advantage that way, and, you know, just try and net and plus in that sense. So Ghost Ogre, I feel, is really good because it forces your opponent, in the Pendulum Magician matchup particularly, it forces your opponent to you know, special summon to their extra deck zone, as well as it's useful against the Time Pendulum Graph. Obviously not on initial activation, but you know, mid to late game, if your opponent has the Time Pendulum Graph and you have the Ghost Ogre, you can clear it out, which is really good because Time Pendulum Graph is very strong and it's you know, very good disruption. So clearing that out as soon as possible is imperative to your victory. Moving on, I feel like actually Effect Failure is another good card because it negates Electrumite as a whole. Granted, it targets, and granted, it doesn't destroy Electromite, so they still get to pendulum summon from their extra deck, given that they have resources there already. Effect Failure negates all of Electromite's effects until the end phase. So, you know, Effect Failure is just, in my opinion, somewhat relevant right now. It's okay. It's not the best side deck option in my personal opinion, but it's still definitely playable. Let's see, what else? Artifact Lancia is another option. And I know that, you know, you guys, again, might disagree with me because it is a -1. You have to tribute it from your hand or your field, but generally people are going to keep it in their hand. Artifact Lancia, I feel, is actually somewhat good because if you consider a lot of what the decks in our current meta do, you can essentially shut down some of those decks' turns with Artifact Lancia. For example, Trickstars. Trickstars, some of the decks that I've played against, at least in regards to Trickstars and the Trickstar archetype, live and die by the Draw and Lock Reincarnation combo. And if your opponent can't banish your hand with Trickstar Reincarnation, then their whole combo goes up in flames for that turn. So it, again, puts them behind a turn. If you notice, that's what a lot of the side deck cards right now are doing, is they're putting your opponent behind a turn. So, you know, I feel like Artifact Lancia is really, really good because it's actually a blanket card for other you know, current matchups. For example, let's see, Lightsworns. You know, Lightsworns do a lot of banishing, so being able to shut down their turn that way with Artifact Lancia can actually be very good. Plus, it allows you to stop their Cypherane Lord Omega from ripping cards from your hand if you open it and they're going first with Omega. Another option, as an alternative to Artifact Lancia, is Chaos Hunter. Chaos Hunter is actually in some ways better because it's a 25 body that you special summon to the board. It's a level 7 2500 beat stick that keeps only your opponent from banishing, which is notable because you know, certain decks like ABC like to banish. So if you're playing ABC, you notice your opponent's playing something that banishes. Siding in the Chaos Hunters can be very good. Other side deck options, I feel Mind Crush is really good. The reason why I feel Mind Crush is really good is because a lot of decks right now like to add cards from their deck to their hand. For example, Trickstars with Light Stage, you know, they add, you know, the field spell with Terraforming, or they add, you know, whatever, you know, they do whatever their plays do, you know, typical Trickstar shenanigans of adding cards, and you Mind Crush. Not only does Mind Crush rip whatever you declare out of their hand, but you also get to look into their hand and determine what plays that they would make to maneuver their way around your Mind Crush. So you can kind of gauge what they're playing and figure out, you know, how they're going to form their turn for the, you know, for the future, and how they're going to mold their future plays. On top of that, Mind Crush is really good against Evenly Matched, which is also actually another thing for Artifact Lancia, because Artifact Lancia you can chain to the Evenly Matched. Mind Crush, however, if you're going first and you notice your opponent goes straight into their battle phase, at the beginning of their battle phase you activate Mind Crush and you can rip the Evenly Matched from their hand, and again look at their hand. However, Artifact Lancia is another good option because you can chain it to Evenly Matched, which is really good because then you can at least keep your board. That being said, Mind Crush is another good option because a lot of decks right now are adding cards from their decks to their hands, so Mind Crush allows you to get insight. Also, I feel like Antispell Fragrance is subpar but still playable against Pendulum Magician, because at least with Antispell Fragrance, yes, they may be able to clear it out with a Purple Poison Magician, just crashing it into something, but if they don't have the Purple Poison and they have no way to search, the Antispell Fragrance actually sets them behind a turn or two, which can be just absolutely detrimental to both yours and their game state. You know, setting your opponent behind a turn is so big right now. Other side deck options include back row removal. Remember, we have Bottomless and Torrential at 3 now. So back row removal is very good to side, in my personal opinion, especially Cosmic Cyclone, because don't forget, we have Paleozoic that's still running around and still doing somewhat well as well. Paleozoic, being able to Cosmic Cyclone their Paleozoic trap cards keeps them from coming back, so you kind of take your opponent's advantage away that way, as well as the fact that Cosmic Cyclone also works against Pendulum Magician because you keep your pendulum, their pendulum monsters or their pendulum scales from being destroyed, which completely stops all of their disruption effects with the pendulum cards. So those are all my side deck options. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you have any other side deck options you think are very viable, leave a list down in the comment section below. I may have missed some, and I'm sure I did. I would appreciate if you guys gave me some ideas also for side decking, and some theory crafting as well. I would really appreciate it, and I really appreciate all the views you guys have given us. We will be going to a regional, and we will be bringing you guys deck profiles and tournament reports for the decks we use. So, as always, Eric here with Team Eccentric, and I am signing out. Rate and subscribe, leave your comments and ideas in the comments section below, and don't hesitate to give us respectful suggestions on content you want to see. Eric on behalf of the team saying take care, and Team Eccentric out.